Hey guys, I'm Joey, and today we're comparing the Epiphone SG Muse to my Gibson 61 Reissue. All right, so first, big warm welcome to all. Today, like I said, we're comparing Gibson versus Epiphone. If you want to jump to any particular portion of the video, the whole episode is laid out for you in the description box and in the top pinned comment. So go ahead and click whichever link you want. They're all time-stamped, and you can jump to any portion. Today, we're going to be comparing the specs of each guitar, what they look like, and the numbers there. We're going to compare tones and then discuss my final thoughts and the verdict at the end. Let's go ahead and dive right in. So as far as the guitars themselves go, the Gibson is my personal guitar. I picked it up a couple years ago off of eBay, and I have no plans on getting rid of it anytime soon. Now, the Epiphone I just bought for the purpose of doing some reviews on it and this comparison video. If you want to see that guitar in detail, I'll throw a link above here that you can click on. The reason I say that is because today we're not going through every aspect of each guitar. We're just kind of comparing some of the highlights and seeing how they fare with each other. There is a lot that's similar with each SG. After all, they are both the same model. The wood for the body and the neck, both mahogany on each guitar. The scale length is the same. A lot of the other measurements are the same as well. But there are some key differences. I'm going to throw up a chart here for you now so you can see some of the things I thought were worth highlighting. The first one is the finish. Gibson, you're going to get nitro, which is my preferred finish if you can get a guitar in that. But the Epiphone is a little bit more budget friendly. So on the website, it's just labeled as metallic gloss, probably some type of poly. The neck profile is also another major difference here. The Gibson has what's called a 60s slim neck. It's a little flat on the back side of the neck, whereas the Epiphone has what's called a custom C profile. It's a little bit more rounded. Not chunky by any means, but there is a major difference as far as the neck profiles here. For myself, one is not necessarily better than the other, but they are different in feel. So it's really up to personal taste. Going back to our chart here, the fingerboard material is different. The nut material is also different. The pickups, another major difference here. Gibson, you're getting the 57 Classics. That's what comes standard in these 61 reissues. And the Epiphone gets the Alnico Classic Pros. And aside from sound-wise, these pickups being different, it's kind of hard to describe, and you may not be able to, this may not come across in the video, but they also feel different. Like as you're playing them, the pickups do feel and sound different. Now, the control layout, I just had to double check the chart here for myself again. The Gibson is just standard 2-volume, 2-tone, nothing fancy, no crazy switching, whereas the Epiphone is the opposite. You get 2 coil splits for each humbucker. There's a phase switch that you can pop out, and there is a treble bleed circuit on the volume pots. So as you roll your volume down, there is no loss of the high end. It doesn't really darken up. Again, on the Gibson, everything is just standard. Now, the last item worth comparing is the price. Another major bit of information that's vital to know. the Gibson is significantly more expensive than the Epiphone. Buying these on the used market, like I said, mine's from '08. I picked it off on eBay for like around $1,000, and that's kind of the lower end of the spectrum for these. You're looking at around between that and maybe $1,300 if you get one kind of in pristine condition or somebody that really values it. The Epiphone, way less. You're looking at around $430 brand new. So major difference there, I gotta say. Now, I'm going to throw up a picture here for you because I didn't notice this about each guitar until I put them up side by side. But the contouring on the bodies is slightly different between each model. If you notice the Gibson here, especially around that lower horn, the contouring is nice and soft, a little rounded there. Whereas on the Epiphone, they really sharpened up those contours. They really stick out. A little bit more drastic. I think it's a little bit more modern in taste, and that might be why they did that, because the Muse is marketed more towards the whole modern side of the guitar market, whereas the 61 Reissue is trying to pay homage to the old school SGs. So I just thought that was cool. I didn't really pick up on that until sitting these guys side by side to take photos of them. Well, guys, that's the end of the whole spec side of things as far as what I think is worth comparing notes on. Now let's get down to the tones. Each guitar is running through the same signal chain. It's going through my Line 6 Helix just for some effects. No amp sims via the Helix. We've got a little clean boost going on there, and the gain pedal that we'll use in a little bit is coming from the Helix as well. That's all going into Guitar Rig, where we're getting our amp simulation and our reverb from. So my final thoughts. I can honestly say that I love both of these guitars. They're great pieces of gear, well built by each of their respective companies. But if I'm being honest, there's a reason why I own the Gibson, and the Epiphone is just staying with me temporarily because I like the Gibson better. But if you're in the market for an SG, you're going to have to be the one who decides, is the Gibson 2 or 3 times better than the Epiphone? Because that's what you're going to be paying as far as price, 2 or 3 times more. I don't have to make that decision because I already own my 61 Reissue. But for yourself, consider the sound samples here, even other guys doing videos like this, and try to get your hands physically on each of these guitars so that you know for yourself, is it worth it going for the Gibson, or should you stick with Epiphone? Hope you liked the comparison. If you haven't already, please throw a like down there, the whole thumbs up, and subscribe to the channel if you like this kind of stuff. We're always putting out new, cool content like this. On that note, guys, until I see you next time, thanks so much and take care.